But in a Chapter 13, we can put the student loan in there, and you can pay whatever you want to them each month. Because a lot of times they want $500, $600, $700, $800 a month, and most people can't afford
It's
that.
almost like a house note. And right now, the way that the career choices are, there's nothing less than owing a student loan $50,000.
And most people can't get jobs. Used to, you could get a job with a $50,000 educational bill like that would help you make the money to pay the loan back. But nowadays, I see people with $150,000 loans, and they've got a bachelor's or a master's, but they can't make the money to pay the loan back.
Right, right. So if somebody's watching, well, they'll have that information that, okay, I can't pay a student loan. I can't write off a student loan. Child support is another thing.
We can pay it, over a longer period of time, but we can't wipe it out.
What about alimony?
Can't wipe that out either.
Okay.
It can be paid out over a longer period of time, so we can stretch it out and lower the payments,
Okay.
which is what the Chapter 13 does for you,
Right.
but you can't wipe it out.
Okay, so if somebody's watching this and they got all excited and said, well, thinking that they can do that, that's not going to happen.
Right, but it will keep you out of jail for not
Right,
paying the child
right,
support and
right,
alimony,
right.
and sometimes that's important, or get your license back. They're pulling driver's
Yeah,
license now,
yeah.
and so the bankruptcy, if we put a provision in there to pay them back in a Chapter 13, we can get your license
Keep
back.
your name off, keep your face off of that
off
billboard.
the billboard, right.
Okay, well, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, of course, we're going to continue to talk about the pros and cons of bankruptcy. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
For more information about tonight's guest and services, Attorney Frank Coxwell, call 601-948-1600 or visit the website at www.coxwelllaw.com or www.mississippibankruptcyhelp.com or email frankc@coxwelllaw.com.
We're back, and again, I'm Peaches and your host of On Location TV with my guest today, Attorney Frank Coxwell, Bankruptcy King. I'm just crowning you there.
Oh, thank you, but I don't think the bar will let me refer to myself that way.
I don't think so, but right here on Location TV, guess what? I can do that.
Okay.
I can do that. But on a serious note, we're trying to educate the people just a little bit about the pros and cons of bankruptcy, and we've kind of went over some different issues about how people should address bankruptcy. Now, there's a class that's going to be coming up, and this may air after that class, but we're going to talk about it anyway because we're hoping that that this will be an ongoing class that you will be teaching here in the city of Jackson. Now, you got 2 classes that's coming up that's going to be taught at Millsaps College, and I believe one starting in April.
Right.
April the 15th. And like I said, this is probably going to air afterwards, but we're still going to talk about it because we're hoping that you'll be able to continue those classes at Millsaps. Talk about what those classes are that you'll be teaching.
Well, one of the classes is called Mortgage Securitization, Who Owns Your Home? Because mortgages now are not, these are not your father's mortgage. Mm-hmm. This is not, houses are not bought and sold the same way your father or your parents bought their house when they've got their first home. Back then, you borrowed the money from the local bank.
Right.
They owned your mortgage, and if you were 2 days late, they were out there beating on your door saying, hey, where's the money? Get out.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, I file bankruptcy for people that are 15, 24 months behind, and nobody's ever filed a foreclosure. Nobody's told them to get out because most of the companies don't know who owns the mortgage. The company you pay your money to every month, Wells Fargo, Chase, any of these companies, is just a rent collector.
Right.
They don't own the mortgage. They're just collecting the money for somebody else. And they actually make more money if they foreclose the house.
Really?
So they want you to get as far behind as they can.
Where you can't catch up.
Right. And they'll tell you not to make payments while they're looking at you for a modification, which doesn't make sense at all.
That's because you're getting deeper and deeper in
Absolutely.
debt.
And nobody saves that money every month like
No.
they should. They're spending it because we all got other bills.
Right.
But the mortgage companies want to foreclose because it's not their house, it's not their money. They're not stuck with the house. So they want to get you deeper and deeper and then foreclose the house And then the investors, who are usually the Saudi Arabians, the Chinese, PERS invest in some of this stuff, the state retirement system. They're the actual owners of your house.
Okay.
So this is on Who Owns Your Home. It's two nights for 2 weeks, and it'll explain about mortgages and how to find out who owns your home and how mortgages work nowadays, and just give people some information, a better understanding of what's going on with mortgages. The other class is The Truth About Bankruptcy. It's one Saturday, and I'll explain all the different types of bankruptcy and how they work, and go into more detail the things that we talked about.
So with this class, this is your first class that you're teaching out there. Is this something that's going to be ongoing after April, hopefully?
Millsaps does this 3-4 times a year. They have all these different community enrichment classes for people to take, and they cover a wide range of topics. But this is the first time that I've taught them, and depending on the response that we get, I hope to continue it, because this is information people want, but they don't necessarily want to go to a lawyer's office to get it.
And then I have to mention too, lots of people that, the word attorney is fearful enough, when they think about that, that's another thing that I think that they have to deal with.
And they're scared about the cost and stuff. The bankruptcy class is only $20 that you pay to Millsaps, and the mortgage class is $40. So it's something anybody can afford and can get the information. A lot of times you don't want to go to a lawyer's office or ask people for a recommendation about bankruptcy, because you don't want people to know that you're thinking about it.
Considering doing that.
And it's nobody's business.
Right.
And people don't know what lawyers do different types of things. You don't want to go to a lawyer that doesn't specialize in bankruptcy.
Okay.
If you're going to, bankruptcy is a very narrow area of the law, and it takes a lot of study to get it right, and you want to make sure you don't want somebody learning on your case.
Right.
Young lawyer, you don't want your case to be his first case.
Right. Now, we mentioned earlier that you're with a law firm. Tell us the name of that law firm and where that is located, and if somebody's watching that want to get in contact with you, how can they go about doing that? Okay,
it's Coxwell and Associates. We're at 500 North State Street, right next door to the First Baptist Church.
Okay.
We have a website, coxwelllaw.com, and I have another one called MississippiBankruptcyHelp.com. And I also have a book on fighting foreclosure, The Consumer's Guide to Fighting Foreclosure in Mississippi. And then go to the coxwelllaw.com website and download a copy of the website, the book, or they can call us, and I'll be glad to mail them a copy or email them a copy of the book if they want. But it talks about what mortgage companies are doing nowadays and how you can help fight foreclosure. And there's only 5 ways to fight a foreclosure in Mississippi, and 4 of them probably aren't going to work for most people. So bankruptcy, Chapter 13, is really the quickest, and easiest, and cheapest way to stop a foreclosure.
Okay.
Because if you don't stop the foreclosure, you don't have a house anymore.
Right. And that should really be that person's priority. If they have paid, or even if they haven't paid for a number of, lived in a house a number of years, save your house.
That's the important
You got to
thing.
have somewhere to stay.
Right.
And now if you have a job, you got to have a vehicle to get there. So those 2 things for sure.
And rents are so high now, most people are better off keeping their house, because the money's going to be the same whether they're renting someplace for their family size or continuing to pay their house note.
Now, a few years ago, the laws changed, and I think people got wind of that information, and they kind of felt like, well, I can't file. Something has happened in the bankruptcy world, and I am not going to be able to file. Talk about that just for a second.
Well, in 2005, they called themselves toughening up the bankruptcy laws. The credit card companies lobbied and paid a lot of money to have all this done. But it was mainly to get the lawyers out of the business. It's more difficult for the lawyer, all the paperwork we have to do. For the clients, they're not going to see much difference. I try to insulate my clients as much as possible from the process. And I have some of them that want to know everything.
Right.
And I tell them, I say, just stop me when your head starts to explode because of all the information. But I'll tell you as much or as little as you want to know, but my job is to guide you through the process. And it's more difficult and time-consuming for the lawyer. But the clients, the individual.
So that law really didn't affect, not majorly. It affected an individual some, but not to the extent where the public has put it out to perceive that it has affected.
You can still file.
You can still file. That's the bottom line.
Right. And there's tests we have to put you through to see if you qualify, but people in Mississippi just don't make that much money. And these
Right.
tests, very few people in Mississippi are going to fail the test.
Right.
They'll all pass it and be able to file because they just don't make the kind of money that people make in other states.
And one thing I wanted to mention as well, because I encourage people to go see an attorney to get the knowledge. You know, you're not skilled, you don't know,
Right.
you're going to miss out on something. But, you know, lots of people are aware that they can go to different places and purchase and fill out their own and represent. What do you say to that?
You wouldn't go to a doctor and say, well, I can't afford you, let me go operate on myself.
Right.
You know, it's the same kind of thing. This is a very specialized area, and you can lose things like your retirement account or your money in your bank account or your car or your house if it's not done correctly.
Right.
And you certainly do not want to
That
try
to
to fill
happen.
these papers out. I
Right.
tell people, stop paying these debts, use that money to take care of the bankruptcy.
Right. Right.
Problem solved.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But most people, it's amazing. They wouldn't consider doctoring themselves or operating on themselves, but they'll go get some legal forms and fix up all sorts of
Enough
stuff
to file.
and
Missing
make a
out.
mess out of it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Now we're about at the end. I want you to give your information again, if someone missed it the first time, to come and see Attorney Frank Coxwell at
Coxwell and Associates, 500 North State Street, Jackson, Mississippi. My phone number is 601-948-1600. Our website's coxwelllaw.com or mississippibankruptcyhelp.com.
Okay, okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show to talk just a little bit about bankruptcy and maybe put that fear out of that person that was thinking about doing it. Now they have some answers about what they should consider. So thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Good luck on the class, and we hope that continues. And just to educate people on the pros and cons of bankruptcy. So thanks again for coming out.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. This is all the time we have for this segment of On Location TV. We'll see you next time.